Okay, listen, this is not hard to understand, so stick with me. I know the words like conspiracy theorists or just different programmings have made us think that certain things just can't be true. Certain programming has caused us to believe that our world is rigid, and that, like I said, we just think that, okay, certain things just can't be true. Like, there's no way possible that there could actually be a creature walking around with a dog's head in a man's body. Stay with me, because I'm going to explain to you what programming is, what a program is, because that is the thing that runs our life. That is the thing that is creating our reality. And when I say reality, I'm talking about our lived experiences individually and collectively. It is the programs that we're running off of that is pretty much projected into the empty air, into the ethers, and it's causing forms in the invisible realm that's overlaid on our physical third dimension. And when those forms start to collect and accumulate energy, then we have what you call manifestation. But first, it starts with the programming, so your individual programming and also the collective programming. But you got to understand, what is a program? What is a program? A program is something that's repeated. That's why music is so intoxicating to humans, because the beats, the frequency of the beats, like they repeat. And when something repeats on a loop, it creates a pattern or a wave. And that wave is what you would call a vibration. And that vibration gives off a frequency. And that frequency can be measured mathematically and electronically, because it is electromagnetic. Now, the same thing, same beat, same frequency, same movement and vibration is happening throughout our bodies, in our cells, and even around our bodies, because we have what you call neurons that operate in our nervous system through electrical impulses. So that creates an electrical, what you call a bioelectrical field, or in like a mystical religions or cultures, they call it like an aura, you know? Okay, so programming is something that is very foundational to this whole concept of manifestation, reality, quantum leaping, time hopping, time travel. All of it is the programming, because first of all, you got to know and understand something can happen before you can experience that to happen. So it has to be in your programming, and your program is just basically a loop or a pattern of repeated thoughts, which collectively over time you can term or describe or label as a belief system. But really what it is your core identity. It's your being. It's who you are, because that is your electrical blueprint, so to speak. That's what you putting out into this, what we know and consider empty space, which is not empty. It's actually full of activity, full of molecules, full of consciousnesses, and it is consciousness itself, which is where we get our thoughts. That's why you can see, like, when you try to quiet the mind, it can be difficult unless you just really focus really hard on just your breathing. It can be difficult to quiet the mind because the thoughts are coming in without you selecting them. But you can select them, and you can choose to observe them and not select them, which, will kind of quiet them down also. But on the most part, the mind is constantly streaming in new thoughts, new ideas, new inspirations. That's how creators and people that are really tapped in, they come up with these different ideas and they create things, because it doesn't come from them. It comes from God. It comes from heaven. It comes from the empty space. It comes from the spirit realm. Okay. And that is something that is very real. But if you have programming or repeated thoughts or underlying beliefs that you might not even be conscious of or have knowledge of, because they came through your childhood and you don't really remember that you got that imparted or implanted into you, because that's on a different section of your brain, your brain and neural networks. So you kind of like, it's dormant. It's dormant until maybe something in your environment, a smell or a sound or a person or a fabric or just a feeling will bring back nostalgia, which could be a trigger to bring back memories, because it will put you on that same neural pathway of what you had experienced when you first imparted that, memory or belief into your programming, which is your brain and how your brain operates. So really, whenever you hear people discussing programming, like on television, they have different channels or programs, because your brain has different neural pathways, and those are channels that lead to memories, they lead to knowledge, they lead to the different things that you have in your mind that create your personality, your character, and they're based on the programs or scripts that you have taken. Okay, so a script would be, okay, so in Hollywood and television, a script is basically, okay, what I need to say, where I need to stand in a certain time point, what's going to happen when I move. They have the script to go by in order to put out the program on the channel. Now, they do that same exact thing. This is exactly how life works, okay? We come up with scripts, or we see things, and those things are scripted. Even though it really happened, it has to get scripted and encrypted and encoded into the mind so that a memory can be made, so that a neural pathway can be created. That way, if you need to access it again, you can have a code or a key to be able to, tap back into that part of the brain. Now, this is important to know, because when you're watching television, when you're watching a lot of social media, when you're around a lot of people, or even if you're reading a lot of books, maybe you watch a lot of documentaries, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. You just need to understand that what you put in here, in here, in here, in here, in here, in you shouldn't be putting nothing back there. But if you are, you're messing up your programming. You're messing up your programming. You're messing up your neural pathways. And this is something that the occult know. This is something that they practice daily, the sodomy and stuff like that, because they know there are nerves and neural pathways, in our spine that lead up to our brain and can make our brain what they call split. And your psychic is split. And this is where you get multiple personality disorder and dissociative identity disorder, because the brain has different sections, different pathways, different frequencies, different patterns that it can be accessing. And those different compartments, so to speak, can literally be separate people, separate personalities that don't even know each other. That's what you call a legion. They could exist all together in your mind, in your brain, in different neural pathways, and different sections of your brain, different frequency points like alpha brain waves, theta brain waves, different points like that. And a person can literally be programmed. We are programmable. We are programmable. So now these are the things that affect your program. The food you eat, the things you watch, the things you say, the things you don't say, the things you hear. That's why they listen to certain binaural beats. That's why powers that be, evil powers that be, put out certain music that have evil underlying beats, subliminal beats, because it changes the brain pathways and they create certain programming which manifests in a person's behavior. If you listen to music about killing every day, what you think you're going to have in you, that's going to come out. You're either going to live by the gun or die by the gun, So it's just things like that we got to be mindful of when it comes to programming and just operating in this space that we call Earth, and coexisting and manifesting and getting better and doing better, and just knowing that we were here for a purpose. And this world is ours, and we control it through our inner selves and our programs.